to look out for in National 2 North is what we'll come on to, Ben. But let's have a look back at round 2 in National 2 North. You mentioned when you were putting the paper together that there's a really eye-catching, unpredictable scorelines. I think that might have been the case in National 2 North more so than most.
Yes, definitely. I mean, across the board, there was some really tight matches and results that went went completely away from what I was thinking beforehand. So yeah, Hull Ionians, I think, proved that form should be discounted in derbies. That's a huge win over Hull. That's really impressive. And like I mentioned, it was only Jersey Reds' unfortunate expulsion that kept Hull Ionians in the National Leagues. Well, they've come out fighting this season and look really strong, and obviously they've turned a corner, it seems. And yeah, what better way to do it than in an emphatic derby victory over your arch rivals. Lim look on fire. It's a rampant attacking display at Chester, which is always quite a difficult place to go. But they've started slow this season, so something's up. Something seems to be up there. It seems to going back from National 2 West into National 2 North should have really suited them. But yeah, questions need to be asked there, I think. Jordan Dorrington was the hero as Fylde just saw off Preston Grasshoppers late on. Wharfdale victorious over newly promoted Harrogate, who have given it a very good go early on. But Leeds Tykes pushed very hard to just beat Otley. I mean, that proves the difficulty of National 2 North as a whole, that Leeds almost became unstuck this early on. And Tyndale and Billingham sharing the points at Corbridge. It's a solid start for Billingham though, with 7 points out of a possible 10. Because they only just about survived relegation by the skin of their teeth. Well, they're looking strong this season. That's a very nice return, and looking forward to seeing how they go this weekend against Otley, and then Sheffield victorious in the Steel City derby. But even that seemed like a very competitive match, and Anthony Poser's side will be relieved to have got through that derby, especially considering, like I mentioned at the start, Hull Ionians upsetting the form book against Hull.
Yeah, no, really good summary there, Ben, in terms of National 2 North. Yeah, I think we've got to mention that Hull Ionians Hull derby was in Tuesday's National League Rugby wrap-up as well. I mean, 55 points, I think it was in the end, Hull Ionians scored, didn't they? He scored some absolutely belting tries as well, going back through the footage. And I know Malik Holden is coming as a coach at Hull Ionians. People will know him, I think, from his Doncaster Knights days, his Hartbury days as well, a flying winger. And maybe he's put his stamp on some of the attacking rugby Hull Ionians are playing this season, because some of the tries they were scoring, they were really cutting Hull apart. But as you say, Ben, given sort of the struggles the club had last season, and even after the defeat they had on the open day at home to Lynn, they would have been disappointed with that. So to go down the road to Hull and rack up a half century against their near neighbours will definitely give them confidence going forward.
Yeah, it's a fantastic appointment and a really good point made by yourself about Malik Holden. He's a fantastic winger for the Doncaster Knights and a real renowned attacking force. But they've turned a corner. I mean, obviously that result against Lim doesn't look too bad considering how on fire they are at the minute. But it's great to see that they've come together. They've always said that even last season when they were struggling on that torrid losing run, they said they've got the players, the squad is there, just something wasn't right, something just wasn't clicking, and it seems now that, well, obviously clicked on Saturday thanks to Malik's attacking strategy, which is scoring amazing tries, like you said. I mean, that's where you want to go out on a Saturday afternoon and watch some amazing rugby and amazing tries like the ones they scored at the weekend. So yeah, credit to them for turning things around, and look forward to seeing how they go this weekend as well. Can they back it up?
Yeah, Lewis Minikin very much the orchestra behind it all, pulling the strings for Hull Ionians in terms of the backs. And Kobe Fofi won National League 2 North's Player of the Week in the back row as well. So really good all-round performance from Hull Ionians. You mentioned Lim. It's very difficult to ignore Lim, given they also put 50 points on Chester. We talked about Chester last week, didn't we, Ben, in terms of they were hoping to be knocking on the door of those top places after moving back to National 2 North. But fabulous win for Adam Fletcher and Andy Davies' side. I know the half-back pairing and the report in the rugby paper highlighting Callum Morris and Tom Shard. We know Tom's a shrewd operator at this level. He was excellent last season for Lim, and already putting his mark on this season. And I was reliably informed by Lim on Instagram on Sunday evening that they are the first team to have put 50 points on Chester at Chester since Coldy did it in 2019. And if we want to rewind the clock back, Coldy in that year, I think they won 25 out of 25 games before COVID. cut the season short and they were on absolute fire. So really good start for them. And I think, Ben, given the fact that they were a newly promoted club last year and they, were edged themselves away from any relegation trouble, this would be a fantastic return for Adam Fletcher and Andy Davis' side, won't it?
Yeah, fantastic. They're like a real force in attack. They've shored up their defense as well. Yeah, they've set their mark on this season. I think last season was all about stability, consolidation, making sure you'd stay in the division, and now they can move forward that kind of second season, have a bit more of a push. They've recruited well in the off season, and they look a real force at the start of this campaign. They've beaten some top sides that, like you mentioned, Chester were looking to finish sort of top three, top four this season. Well, Lim absolutely blew them away. So they're already looking like a force and one to keep your eye out on, I think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And they are in the mix, Lim, at the moment with your likes of Wharfdales, your Leeds Tykes and your Sheffield, just to bring up the table now. Three of the top four teams from last season are already up there. Ben, you've also mentioned Billingham, who are unbeaten so far. Really good return from them. But, we said it last week, didn't we, Ben? In terms of the usual suspects or our candidates to finish towards the top end of the table, to finish in that pole position, we're unsurprised, really, aren't we, to see Leeds, Tykes, Sheffield and Wharfdale already occupying those sorts of positions.
Yes, we are in on one hand, but they haven't found it easy. I mean, yeah, Leeds Tykes and also Wharfdale have been pushed hard early on. So yeah, I mean, it also kind of shows that there are clear front runners in National Two North, or people, certainly teams that from some recent history that you'd fancy to be up there. But I think every game is a real challenge, and you can't take anything for granted. And when Leeds will tell you that from last season, they do seem the standout side. I still believe that they are the best side in the division. Whether or not what that counts for, well, we'll see. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they go. I mean, Otley pushed them very, very hard, and probably will regret not going that one step further. Like you mentioned, Billingham look on a really good form. I think the rugby paper's focus this weekend will be Billingham against Otley, because that's just a really interesting tie, I think, because Billingham 7 points out of 10. They can make that 12 points. That's a fantastic return. Otley as well, a great win on the opening day, pushed Leeds Tykes really close. So that should be a really interesting match. Someone season's gonna have to unravel, but the other's going to have to take a massive step forward if they can pick up a win.
Yeah, yeah. Let's pull up those fixtures now as Ben has nicely segued it into how it's going to look in front of us. Yeah, Billingham versus Otley, as Ben said, really intriguing game. And, no disrespect to either side, but I'm not sure anyone would have said how intriguing this is. But both have been really strong in terms of the start of this season. Obviously, Billingham unbeaten, as Ben quite rightly touched on there. Otley, great win on the opening day against Hull. Push Leeds Tykes incredibly close last week. So it'll be a fascinating game up in the northeast. Elsewhere, Hull Ionians versus Chester. We've mentioned Hull Ionians a lot in the National 2 North chat. They'll be looking to take that confidence from their brilliant performance on Derby Day into that home game against Chester at Brantington Park. Leeds Tykes versus Hull. Hull will go to West Park. Leeds looking for a first victory of the campaign, looking to sort of not dwell too much on that Derby Day defeat to Hull Ionians. Lim versus Fylde. Of course, we touched on Lim there. Lim going for a third straight win of the season. Around this time last year, they actually beat Fylde, albeit Fylde away from home. Can they get another victory over the Lancashire side? And they were to do that, wow, what a fantastic start to the season it would be for Adam Fletcher and Andy Davis's boys. Preston Grasshoppers versus Sheffield Tigers at Lightfoot Green. Heartbreak for Hoppers again last week, as Ben touched on. Jordan Dorrington, the former Preston man, breaking their hearts in the Lancashire derby. Obviously, Preston losing narrowly 32-30 on the opening day to Chester. Can they turn it around at home to a Sheffield Tigers side who are looking for the first points of the season? Sheffield versus Harrogate is at Aberdale Park. Sheffield's fantastic home record, they'll be looking to continue that against newly promoted Harrogate, who certainly put up a decent fight against Wharfdale in round 2. And speaking of Wharfdale, the Green Machine are at home to Tynedale in round 3, aiming for another maximum at the Avenue.